Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxes.com, and here I have another plain white box from our friends over at HTC. This time inside we find the HTC Desire S, which was announced a little over a month ago at MWC in Barcelona. So handset immediately on top, as you can see there. We'll come back to that in just a second. Should point out that obviously this is pre-release, so this isn't the full retail package, which is obviously evident by the fact that we have white box rather than a proper retail box. So inside here, which I won't bother to open because I'm sure you've seen it all before, but this is the USB mains charger, which has a USB connector just on the top there, and that goes along with the 3-pin UK plug, which is inside this bag to give you a USB style charger. Inside this one, which we'll open, we have we have a wired headset. So on this end we have a 4-pole 3.5mm jack and an inline microphone, which is here, inline microphone within this block, which also has controls for media, play, pause and skip backwards and forwards, and also the middle button there for answer and hang up of a call, so if you want to use it for, obviously as a wired headset for calling. The headphones on the other end are okay. This whole unit is a pretty standard HTC thing really, and these headphones are pretty reasonable. I've used these before and they aren't bad. And finally, inside the other bag we have a straightforward USB to micro USB sync charge cable, using for connecting up to your PC, or actually obviously to charge the handset itself. So let's take a look at the handset. It's on the front we have a forward-facing camera for use of video conferencing and so on, and a large grille there at the top, which is where the loudspeaker is. On the main area here at the front we have a 3.7-inch display, 480 by 800 pixels, capacitive touchscreen, multi-touch. Underneath, series of touch sensitive buttons, which are pretty standard among the Android powered handsets. So it's home, menu, back and search. As I say, they are touch sensitive rather than physical buttons. On the left hand side we have an up and down volume control, which is fairly simple, and then that USB, micro USB connector, as I say, for sync and charge. On the bottom I have a small hole for the microphone, and I'll come back to the bottom in a second. We'll just finish the tour around the outside. On the right hand side we have absolutely nothing. It's a bit of a shame that there isn't a dedicated camera button there perhaps. On the top we have a 3.5mm headphone connector, which we can use obviously for standard headphones or the supplied wired headset that comes with it. Power button on top for actually obviously powering on and obviously toggling the in and out of standby. On the back we have a 5-megapixel autofocus camera with LED flash, and then in that area next to that there is actually the loudspeaker for the ringer and so on. This area at the top doesn't remove, but the bottom portion here does. It's a little bit tricky. There we go. Pop the bottom portion off, and then this bit there is actually an antenna which picks up on these connectors here. Move that out of the way. While I've got that back off, let me mention that it is an aluminium unibody design. It is black, obviously finished here, but it is all of this portion, all of the front up to the actual glass screen bezel there, and all of the back portion is all one piece of aluminium, or aluminum for our American friends. Back pops open like so, which releases the battery. The battery there is a 1450 milliamp hour, and SIM card goes here, micro SD card just next to that. Pop that back in. That pops back on like so. We first saw this type of arrangement here with the battery cover and the slot there on the Legend, which was about this time last year. So there we go. Let's put that back cover back on. There we go. A little bit fiddly to do, but I don't suppose you'll be doing it terribly often. If we just power up. While we wait for that to come on, let me run down the rest specification. As I've already mentioned, it's Android, and this is running 2.3 Gingerbread. Obviously the HTC Sense overlay is very much prevalent here, but we'll see that in just a few moments. Has a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, and the internal memory card slot that we just showed you does support up to 32 gig micro SD memory cards. There is 768 meg of RAM internally, and also 1.1 gig of internal storage, obviously plus the 32 gig if you use 32 gig memory card. It's a pretty reasonable amount of storage. 3.7 inch display, as I say, capacitive touchscreen, multi-touch, 480 by 800 pixels. Quad band for GSM and dual band for HSDPA 3G, so it'll work most places when you take it throughout the world. Built-in GPS, supporting a GPS chipset, Wi-Fi supporting 802.11bg and N standards, and also Bluetooth 2.1 with A2DP support. 5 megapixel autofocus camera on the back, which we will look at when we actually come to do the reviews. In terms of dimensions, it's 115mm from top to bottom, just under 60mm wide, and 11.6mm thick. Does feel reasonably sturdy, not terribly heavy, 130 grams, but the aluminium unibody design does mean the aluminium feels slightly cool in the hand, and obviously the actual design itself is quite ergonomic, so it does sit quite nicely in the palm of the hand. I think that really covers the basics in terms of specification. Let's just take a quick look at the handset in terms of the operating system. So it's a swipe down to unlock. English United Kingdom is already selected. I'm going to skip installing a SIM, and I'll skip all these other bits basically. We'll turn the Wi-Fi on. Set to Wi-Fi only because I don't have a SIM card, but it doesn't really matter. Automatically sync. And let's go ahead and connect to the Wi-Fi network. As you can see there, the keyboard's come up. It's a standard Android style keypad, QWERTY, which is very good actually. The decent keypads, QWERTY keypads on screen on the Android Pad handsets. And if I turn, it's probably not going to turn. No, it's apparently not going to turn during the setup. We'll have a look at that in a moment. There we go, we're obtaining an address there. And we are connected. And the next thing, using Google location, which we'll accept. And we'll agree to terms and conditions. Now, at this point we can set up our Google, Exchange Active Sync and other email accounts here. I'm going to choose to skip that just at this point, and I'll set those up in a moment, and I'll use the default date and time. And as we can see, it's just about to load the interface. Background will be familiar to many as being HTC Sense, and it comes up with our tips. So we have a familiar looking display with the date, with the time at the top here in flip style, and then underneath we have icons for just under there: Android Market, Messages, Mail, Internet and Camera. Pushing the button in the side gives us our full list of installed applications, which we can obviously scroll through quite easily, and obviously connect back to the home screen. Phone dialer, again really straightforward standard phone dialer that we can turn that on and off. And on the other side we have the personalize button, so we can personalize the skins and the widgets. We can add widgets to the home page. There are other ways we can do that as well. We can swipe across. We can see there's a Google search bar with the voice search, and also HTC's people widget there, which allows us to actually add favorite people, so that we can actually easily contact them without actually having to go through our main contact list. There's also a map item there, which obviously is not working right now because I don't have a GPS signal. And then a blank page. Then coming back the other way, we have the friend stream, which would include all my Facebook and Twitter updates for my Facebook and Twitter account, and then the HTC newsfeed, and then the weather, which is just updating there. And that's it. So that gives us our main 7. If I pinch, I get the helicopter view, as you can see there, which is called Leap. HTC call this Leap View. So I can see the 7 panels that are active with items on them, and I can just go ahead, rather than swiping backwards and forwards, I can actually just pick the panel I'm interested in, and then pinch again, pick the panel I really want to go back to. So that's pretty cool. If I could push the button down at the bottom, I go into the settings menu, and I can actually change all the settings. Had I not actually set up the Wi-Fi during the initial configuration, I could go in here and actually do that right away, but that's we actually do have that working anyway. And in here, let's go to Android Market. Quickly sign into Android Market, which won't take a moment to do, so sign in. And there we go, and it's at this point we can use the landscape keyboard, which is a nice generous size, so it makes it a little bit easier if you want to type an awful lot. Putting it into landscape means it's a little bit easier to use the keyboard, so I'm just going to sign into there. And there we go, we just signed in, which allows us to actually sync back to Google servers, so we'll allow that, and we'll finish the setup. We have to accept terms and conditions of the Android Market, and there we go. Just takes a second or two to actually sign into Android Market, so we can see apps, games, my apps here will actually show anything. If there was any updates to be downloaded that were automatic, they would be shown in here, and obviously anything that I've actually downloaded will be shown in here too. And then I could just see the different apps that are available, and I could see a list of all the different types of apps and all the different types of games. Pretty straightforward, and Android's virtually the same, in fact almost identical on every handset pretty much, but it's good to just see it anyway. Also in Mail, I can actually set up a Microsoft Exchange ActiveSync email account or another POP3 IMAP account, and multiple accounts are supported, so I could have I don't know if there's a practical limit, but I've certainly had about half a dozen email accounts set up on Android before. Also in here, if I go to Google Mail, it will have already synchronized my Google Mail there, which I only actually use purely for View handsets anyway, so there's not an awful lot in there, so it's synchronized pretty quickly. And then we can come back in here. We've got the HTC Hub, which requires a SIM card. We have the internet connection here, so we can go to browser, and let's go to go to our site. Appears to be loading extremely quickly. Obviously I'm using broadband connection and Wi-Fi, but that loaded very fast and rendered very quickly. The display is brilliant, frankly. I've probably mentioned this with actually all the new handsets that we see, to be honest with you, but display technology has come an awful long way in well, really the last sort of year or so. And colour on that display, which is not going to come across too well, I appreciate on the camera here, but the colour reproduction is really good, and detail is great because I mean, even at this, you know, fairly wide view, the text is completely legible, and I can quite happily read that. And obviously I could turn it into landscape orientation and actually still use it. If I do double tap, it zooms in and out, as you can see there, and if I zoom in sufficiently far, the text will actually reflow, so that I don't have to scroll left and right. I only have to scroll up and down if I'm reading a huge portion of text, so that's really quite good. That's the reflow. And also we've got on here HTC's Peep application, which is their Twitter application, which is quite nice. It's quite simple, but Twitter's there as well on its own right. YouTube, except in terms of service, so we do a quick search for YouTube. So let's take a look at Leo D, which is my YouTube alias, and we can see a number of our unboxing videos here. Let's just stab on one. There we go, HTC HD7. And after a few seconds, that didn't take too long to buffer, so that's just playing in place up there. Or if I rotate the handset, it will do full screen HQ. There we go. And if we rotate it back the other way, it'll just be in line with the comments underneath and related videos and other comments and bits and pieces, so that's pretty cool. I really do quite like the YouTube implementation on the newer Android handsets, very cool. In terms of what else we've got in here, think most of this stuff is reasonably standard or things that we've seen before. Let's take a quick look at Google Maps and see if that's going to pick up a GPS signal. So we need to turn on use of GPS satellites in order to make that work, which is fine. And there we go, location accurate within 20 meters and loading very quickly. Even indoors as we are here, that's picked up a signal, it's working quite happily. Again, a standard thing, Google Maps, it's the same on almost every handset, but it works very well. And it's very good. So that's a very quick look at the HTC Desire S. We'll have a full review coming up for you over the next couple of weeks. We do in every case use these handsets as a day-to-day device rather than just doing a quick review of the stuff that we see. We actually will use it and tell you how we find it in sort of day-to-day use. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's twitter.com/TracyandMatt or facebook.com/TracyandMatt.co.uk. Do feel free to send us any tweets or anything like that. If you want to have any questions regarding this handset or any of the others that we're reviewing, we'd be happy to hear from you. I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on TracyandMatt.co.uk, but for now, thanks for watching.
Bitdefender is dedicated to protecting people's digital lives, so working with unboxings.com to help preview and review the latest technology is a perfect fit.